To really see results with these companies, cleaning companies, contractors, big or small, you've got to take robust collective action, persistent collective action. You've got to take risky collective action as well.
We know that direct action works, and we know that we can make it happen. We have the network, and we've got the courage, and we've got the energy to take roads, to stop people from entering buildings, to have an effective picket line.
There were so few of us to begin with that we didn't know where we would be tomorrow, let alone in 2 months or 2 years' time. We set out to represent workers, at the time mainly migrant workers, which we continue to mainly represent today. Low-paid, precarious, insecure workers that didn't feel that they had anywhere else to go to get that type of representation. So we successfully represented people in grievances, successfully represented people in disciplinary hearings. We got workers reinstated, we got managers sacked, and we have never actively recruited in our entire history. We've just been approached by workers, and workers have told other workers, and word of mouth has taken us to where we are today. Obviously, we've got a presence on Facebook and Twitter, but the members which are joining us in their hundreds, every month, are workers out there that haven't come across us through Facebook or Twitter. They've come across us through word of mouth, through colleagues or family or friends. But membership numbers aren't really what interests us too much anyway. We get a lot of turnover and unemployment, which means some members might cancel their membership, unable to pay the subs, So those are paying members. But beyond those paying members, we've got a lot of active people. And that's a better measure for me of how strong a union is. And of course, how many actions we're actually organising as well. I think that's another proxy of union strength, our strength. And how many members we get to meetings and how many members we talk to and engage with, The difference is our willingness to take action pretty quickly, trying to really mount as much pressure as possible against the employers where our members work. When we meet workers, it's not this promise about, we'll try and get recognition in 6 months' time, we'll then enter into negotiations. Obviously, the barrier between workers' power and dignity at work and decent wages is not recognition deals. They can help facilitate negotiations, but you still need power behind any recognition deal. What's the leverage? What's the pressure you've got? And so I think what we've done is just try to move to action as quickly as possible. Not because it can be fun, actually. I was going to say not because it's fun. It can be fun. And it can be a very unifying process, a very inspiring process, and it often is. But we do that because it's necessary. I think there's a lot of people out there that could be good organisers, good activists, and good trade union reps, and they're basically not welcome in the large trade unions, and that's a massive shame. And I think what UVW's done has been to open our doors to people to help out in different ways, and we've attracted all amazing people that are great organisers, activists, reps.
Just over 3 years that we've been around, 3-4 years, we've had massive successes, considering our size.
The Harrods dispute was one of our big victories. We saw £2.5 million being put in the pockets of all the restaurant staff in Harrods that formerly had that taken by the bosses. We've won 25% wage increases for workers in Sotheby's auction house. That was the first time that we're aware of where workers won occupational sick pay. Private sector outsourced low-paid workers winning occupational sick pay. We won wage increases at Topshop. We're actually suing Topshop now for members that were victimised there.
We managed last year to get the entire cleaners workforce at the LSE in-house. That means that the cleaners now have the same conditions as the professors. They get the same holiday, pension contributions and so on.
We forced the Daily Mail to pay the living wage to all of their outsourced workers, cleaners and security and caterers. Bank of New York, it took us just over 24 hours for us to get the Bank of New York to back down and to pay their cleaners the living wage. Even smaller places like LHH, we won a wage increase, the living wage. That's sort of a bit of an irrelevant HR firm in the City of London, but nonetheless it was a significant victory. That was done through collective action again, protests with the threat of a strike. Jobs like cleaning and the hospitality sector generally, all sorts of unsociable hours, crazy turnovers, not large numbers of workers necessarily in each workplace. And if they work in a building with hundreds of thousands of other workers that aren't a part of the dispute or the employer, they've got very limited impact, especially when their particular job might not be able to bring production to a standstill or prevent the service being delivered. And so we've got to find a way for low-paid precarious workers to unite their fights, and coordinating strikes is one way to do that. And I think that if these strikes are successful, that will hopefully leave a precedent for others to follow. There's around 50 cleaners between Kensington and Chelsea and Ministry of Justice which are on strike. There'll be another 30 to 40 cleaners joining them potentially from HCA UK, the largest healthcare provider in the world, when they walk out on strike at the end of this month, early next month. That's almost all the cleaners in these workplaces. So we've got very high density in these workplaces. For these workers, they're all walking out on strike for the first time, so it's a big decision for them to have taken to strike, a courageous decision, one which I think everyone should be in awe of and should be inspired by to take action as well, or at least support them. The employer, technical employer, is OCS at the Ministry of Justice. That's a private contractor. Their response is, well, it's not up to us how much the cleaners get paid, it's up to the Ministry of Justice. If they want to ensure the cleaners are paid the living wage, they need to put the money up. I actually agree with that. It is up to the Ministry of Justice. They're the ones paying for the cleaning service. They're the ones which will decide the cleaners' wages. But OCS has washed their hands of responsibility. The Ministry of Justice has shifted responsibility onto OCS. Maybe the issue surrounding low pay is becoming more of a concern for the mainstream. Maybe people are getting more fed up and angry with excuses by employers and government departments and councils are paying low wages. Because that we all suffer the consequences of that, not just the workers themselves. Just to hear about a strike in the media, I think is a really positive thing for other workers out there watching it. I mean, yes, it's taken an incredible amount of courage and solid organisation and support for them to come out on strike, but they didn't start from that position. They got there. And so hopefully what people will see is that they're completely normal, ordinary people with families that don't have big political backgrounds. They haven't been activists all their lives or even trade unionists all their lives. They've never taken this kind of action before. So if they can do it, then why can't other people? Why can't you? We've always been an open and horizontal union, actually. It's just, we're more conscious about the structure now.
Earlier this year, we proposed to the membership an idea that is quite revolutionary in trade unions in Britain and in general, to delete all positions. So the union is effectively organised along sort of non-hierarchical principles. Any new member that joins can join the organising committee and collectively make decisions that will affect the union and other colleagues. Obviously, the committee is reporting back to the membership, and indeed that decision to delete the positions was taken by the membership.
The direction of the union, for example, the disputes we end up fighting, the campaigns we end up waging, our engagement with other groups and with people generally, that's open to members to influence and decide upon. It's not decided by the committee or some few people at the top. And so that's what we're trying to do. We're just trying to encourage workers to get active, get organised, and support themselves and support other workers in their respective fights. During these strikes, the workers need a strike fund. So if anybody out there can make a donation to the strike fund, that would be amazing. Also, writing to the leadership team at Kensington and Chelsea Council, telling them what you think about them and their refusal to pay the cleaners a living wage. The same goes for the Ministry of Justice, to write to the Justice Minister and his cohort. Support us on social media as well and really spread the word. And come down to the pickets if possible.